you like pets? Do you like rangers? Well, this is a build for you. So someone requested a Scythe ranger build, and here is one. Now, the attributes on this are a little strange because it almost looks like your pet isn't really doing that much, and the wind prayers is low, the Scythe mastery is low, but it's a together as one build. So you and your pets and all nearby, actually in area allies, deal plus 15 with attacks. So this is more suited for offense. You also have 7 health regen, and then with Never Rampage alone, you and your pet attack faster and both have plus 3 health regen. So you have 10 health regen at all times. Both you and your pets produce an area-wide buff that buffs all allies' attacks, including your own and your pet's own attacks. So even though your beast mastery is low, your pet is still dealing pretty good damage per hit because it's whatever the damage it is plus 15. So it's 15 base armor ignoring damage with some chip damage. You also can hit multiple opponents with your Scythe, and we have a Rending Aura for cracked armor and a Teardown. And because we are a ranger, we can spam Zealous Sweep and Pious using our 15 expertise to reduce the attack energy costs, the attack skill energy costs. So this like Zealous will always profit energy, and it also helps build adrenaline faster, and if it multi-hits, it really spikes up energy. And the reason for this is I recommend running Mysticism 5 mod on your Scythe instead of Soul Reaping, because with Radiant Scythe and Zealous Sweep, you can maintain enough energy to basically have infinite energy versus single target, which is huge, because Zealous will scale energy and adrenaline gain versus 2 to 3 targets. So if this is maintainable versus single, it is definitely maintainable versus multi, which is really where Scythe excels anyways. And then we have Chilling Victory for spike damage. And of course, if you wanted to drop Chilling Victory for Reap Impurities and provide conditions, you know, like Weakening Aura or whatever, you could do that. So this is the build in a nutshell. You just spam, you want to precast Rending. You can open with Zealous just to immediately start with the energy management, and make sure you never use Pious unless Rending is up. Now, if Rending gets stripped on the way in, that's something to watch for. Here, let's move a little bit over there. I actually just used that wrong. So don't do that. You have to have really good discipline, otherwise, you know, Pious will go on cooldown. It's not nearly as good. And for Master of Damage, if you hit him when his health would, like when he would die with chilling, like check that out, like it doesn't proc the extra damage, whereas with an enemy generally it will. So you might be missing the extra adjacent damage, but this basically has infinite energy. You just keep attacking. It has pretty good DPS too, and it also boosts minions and it boosts allies. So just between you and your pet, you have around like 90 average 100 DPS, or I'm sorry, 90 average DPS. You can spike up to 100. So depending on how many enemies you're hitting. So Pious will deal more damage if you multi-hit. Chilling will deal more damage if you multi-hit. So that's really the big value. And then obviously, if you run Splinter Weapon, you'll have massive bursts of damage. If you're running Splinter Weapon, you can run Emirates Attack. It's really good for those huge sweeps. All right, so we average 87 there, but I did mess up Pious, so you generally will average like 90 to 95. So pretty decent build. If you run minions, it's pretty good. If you run minions with Splinter Weapon, it's really good. And then if you also run Ebon Battle Standard, Chilling Victory will deal more damage. I don't think Pious gets Ebon Battle Standard scaling, because it's already armor ignoring damage. But it might. If it does, just drop a comment, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't, because it's armor ignoring. But I think it's armor ignoring physical, so it might still get scaling, but Chilling definitely gets scaling from Ebon Battle Standard. Also, Together as One does not scale the damage of Pious or Chilling. It only scales attack damage. So your actual Scythe hits, your pet attacks, your minions, other physical, you know, paragons, dervishes, warriors, assassins. So if you're playing in a group, this is pretty decent. You have pretty good AoE damage. Now versus Dagger Spam Together as One, this is a little bit more stable, I would argue. Maybe with Soul Reaping, it's the opposite, or about the same. With Soul Reaping on your daggers, you're probably fine with Dagger Spam, or even Crit 1, because Crit 1, if you crit, you get like 1 energy. So, or Crit plus 5, rather. So this is pretty fun build, it's pretty decent. It's definitely not as good as the Save Yourselves Warrior build, because Save Yourselves is overpowered, but it's still pretty strong, and Together as One is a very powerful elite. So if you want something different to do that isn't dagger spam on your ranger, I think this is definitely it. And then for pet choice, this does matter. Any pet will move a little bit faster, but the beetle attacks the fastest, so if you want to have as much damage as humanly possible, run the beetle. Some people like the Hound of Balthazar because I think it deals like fire damage, but it's really hit or miss, depends on what you're fighting. Like if you're fighting things that are tanky versus elemental, it's obviously going to be worse, and if you're fighting things like enemy warriors, it kind of bypasses their plus 20 versus physical that's on all warrior armor pieces. So some things to think about, some things to consider. If you wanted to run Earth Prayers, you could, but if you're running a single Teardown, Rending Aura is better than Staggering Force. Does the exact same thing, but it also removes enchants from knockdown. And very likely someone on your team will have knockdown, but at the very least, it is objectively better. Now, you could run Sand Shards if you wanted, with like Emirates attack. I don't have Emirates on this character, I don't really play that much on my ranger, but you could do kind of like Splinter Weapon, Sand Shards, Emirates attack, where you have like Staggering Force covering Sand Shards, so you tear down Sand Shards with Splinter Weapon, or you tear down Staggering Force with Sand Shards and Splinter Weapon proccing per enemy struck in adjacent radius, and that can be a pretty huge nuke. And also Together as One will boost the hits, but not the Sand Shards or the Splinter. So yeah, pretty fun build, pretty interesting. Obviously there's dagger spam Together as One, but now I think this is definitely good enough to run in most team comps. For like elite missions and stuff like that, and like Winds of Change, you'd probably need to have like really robust hero team. It'd still be good though, but you'd probably want to run minions with it, maybe some kind of like minion master on your team, so that way you get huge value from Together as One. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. Definitely drop a comment as to what type of builds you'd like to see. I do like making builds and team comps. It's the main reason I like this game. But yeah, that's all for now. Peace.